hopes are not high. Here on Ukraine's front lines, it is obvious that the Russian attacks will only intensify. No one is counting on a ceasefire. We are sure that the enemy will not stop. They are succeeding in several sections of the front line, and summer may be a good time for them to go on the offensive. Summer is the best time to carry out an offensive. We share the opinion that, right now, peace is not possible. Peace efforts, including those in Istanbul, are mostly viewed with pity. Those on the front lines are almost certain that Putin is toying with the West. A diplomatic solution? Not really. We are in the fourth year of the war. There was talk of diplomatic solutions from the beginning. Sanctions. They have not produced any results. The Istanbul talks were underwhelming before they even began. The low rank of the Russian delegation forced Zelensky to make changes to the Ukrainian one. He himself flew from Turkey to Albania for a European Union summit.
Our number one priority is a full, unconditional and honest ceasefire. This must happen immediately to stop the killing and create a solid basis for diplomacy, first of all, and if the Russian representatives in Istanbul today cannot even agree to that, to ceasefire, to this clearly necessary first step, then it will be 100% clear that Putin continues to undermine diplomacy.
Despite the downgraded nature of the meeting, representatives of the U.S. administration, the highest level after President Trump, showed up in Istanbul. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, however, is under no illusions. The American president will have to meet Putin personally to get anything done.
At this point, I think it's abundantly clear that the only way we're going to have a breakthrough here is between President Trump and President Putin. It's going to require that level of engagement to have a breakthrough in this matter. I don't think anything productive is actually going to happen from this point forward until they engage in a very frank and direct conversation, which I know President Trump is willing to do.
Is Putin also ready? It's hard to say. This could be his way of trying to extend the U.S.'s status quo on Ukraine. Washington has repeatedly warned Moscow that a refusal of open dialogue will mean confrontation, and thus full American support, including military support, for Ukraine. Hence, Putin may want to drag out the appearance of talks for as long as possible to lead the Americans on. That's why Trump wants to meet as soon as possible.
I think it's time for us to just do it. I said, they all said Putin was going and Zelensky was going, and I said, if I don't go, I guarantee Putin's not going. And he didn't go, and I understand that, but we're going to get it. We're going to get it done. We got to get it done. 5,000 young people are being killed every single week.
Saygıdeğer katılımcılar.
The conditions set by the Kremlin at this point are unacceptable. At the delegation level, there is basically nothing to talk about. According to the Ukrainian side, the Russians were demanding the withdrawal of Ukrainian forces from all 4 oblasts, partially occupied by Russia. After refusing to do so, they left the meeting, declaring that next time it would be 5 oblasts.
So we just had a meeting with President Zelensky and then a phone call with President Trump to discuss the developments in the negotiations today. And the Russian position is clearly unacceptable and not for the first time. And so as a result of that meeting with President Zelensky and the discussion with President Trump, we are now closely aligning and coordinating our responses.
Europe is moving in the direction announced in recent weeks. More sanctions and pressure on the Kremlin. On top of that, increasing military support for Ukraine and spending on domestic armaments. The last few hours have shown that Russia does not want a ceasefire. That, unless there is increased pressure from the Europeans and the Americans to get this result, it will not occur. The problem is that forcing the Russians to negotiate while they are in a position of strength will be difficult, if not impossible. For negotiations to occur, Ukraine would have to gain a significant advantage on the front lines, threatening the Kremlin's positions. For now, that seems out of sight.